I'm Coral Fox, coming to you live from the Dream Team Channel 210 newsroom. In case you've been living under a rock, today is Halloween. Today's top story is about none other than the end of the world. We go to Gracie Hayes and Brooklyn Damgard reporting from the great beyond.
Good morning, I'm Brooklyn Damgard.
And I'm Gracie Hayes.
We're Channel 210 Dream Team News reporting from space. As most of you already know, the most recent end of the world prediction was supposed to be on September 23, 2017, but there have been predictions dating back to the very first century.
As you may have seen on Gmail, we sent a form to the class of 2024 asking if you think the world is going to end on October 15, 2024. This is because the scientist that predicted the most recent doomsday, David Meade, has predicted yet another end-of-the-world date.
David Meade is a research scientist and has a degree in statistics. He is also into Pinewood Derby racing. When his doomsday claim failed, he predicted another time when the world was going to end, in 2024.
In our recent poll, 96% of 7th grade Lewis Central students do not believe in this new prediction.
Other people have made end-of-the-world claims in the past, such as in the 1st century, Christians believed there would be an apocalypse, and in the 18th century, Jacob Bernoulli, a mathematician, predicted a comet would collide with Earth.
Why are these predictions happening? Well, when scientists and sometimes average people predict things that they don't have enough research for, it often turns out incorrect or false. Predictors believe when they take this many guesses, one of them has to somehow be correct. Back to you at the studio.
Thank you, ladies. Good thing I have my bunker stocked and ready to go. We turn to more local news as we report on the 7th grade girls volleyball team. We go to Stacy Merksick at the LCMS gym.
I'm Stacy Merksick here reporting for Dream Team Channel 210. Right now it's 4:15 and the game just started. I'll see you between sets. It's between sets right now and the score is 25-20, Lewis Central. We will see you after the game.
Overall, I think the game went really good, and I love how we all worked together on passing and setting and spiking. And of course, we won. We are undefeated. And I think we should work on
Thanks, Gracie. Also in the world of sports, the LCMS cross-country team competed at Shenandoah recently. We turn to our very own Alicia Oden for the report.
Lewis Central is known for being really good at sports. Their cross-country team is one of the fall sports at the middle school. They are consisted of 7th and 8th grade girls and boys who run distances between 1.6 miles and 2 miles. They went to Shenandoah, Iowa on September 28th for the Shenandoah Invite. There were 5 girls and 15 boys who went. The top 7th grade boy runner was Gable Porter. He ran 1.8 miles in 12 minutes and 4 seconds, placing 6 out of the 117 competitors. His time compared to the second placer from LCMS was a 30-second difference. The top 7th grade girl was Sophia Barnes. She ran 1.8 miles in 14 minutes and 28 seconds, placing 18th out of 85 competitors. Her time was only a 12-second difference compared to the second placer for LCMS. Although they placed second overall, Mr. Swenson and Mr. Williams are very proud of their work throughout the season. Their final meet was on October 12th in Clarinda, Iowa, and results were not available at the time of this broadcast. Back to you, Coral.
Thanks, Alicia. Those students have the same endurance for running as I do sitting. You may have noticed locker decorations throughout the hallway. Those blue signs mean a student has been chosen for the Student of the Month. Something that we honor at Lewis Central Middle School is Students of the Month. These individuals are students who show certain things teachers like that they want to reward. I look for students who stand in the 4 characteristics, said Mr. Eldridge, one of the 7th grade math teachers at the middle school. The 4 characteristics, or traits, that the whole Lewis Central School District follows are be responsible, be respectable, be prepared, and take the initiative. I would choose students by choosing one of the traits and seeing who improved that trait over the month, said Mrs. Longwell, the other 7th grade math teacher. I look for students who are respectful, and kind to their peers, said Mrs. Cooper, a 7th grade language arts teacher. Being respectful is one of our 4 traits. Students are expected to be kind to their peers and their teachers. I look for students who are respectful to me as well as their peers, said Mrs. Casey, a science teacher for the 7th grade. I look for someone who is respectful to other students and helping students who need help, said Mr. Burke, a 7th grade social studies teacher. Someone who is consistently doing their job without having me to remind them, said Mrs. Decker, another 7th grade language arts teacher. The next trait is taking the initiative. Students using this trait are doing what they are supposed to do without having any adult guidance. I always look for students who are trying to create the safe and comfortable environment, said Mr. Barker, a 7th grade social studies teacher and the dean. Another trait is being responsible. Being responsible is doing what you are told to do and not stretching the rules. Someone who is responsible for their work, said Mrs. Carr, the other 7th grade science teacher. The other 7th grade language arts teacher is Mr. Dickinson. Here's what he has said. I've got to see most of their personality and their work ethic. The last trait is being prepared. Being prepared is having everything with you and completed on time. I would find students who improves in this subject over the month, said Mrs. Longwell. Someone who is consistently doing great work and don't have to chase them to make sure that they are getting things done, added Mrs. Casey. Based off of these traits, Mrs. Decker chose Maddie Faulkner and Ethan Cruz. Mr. Aldrich chose Sophie Winchell and Derek Henry. Mrs. Longwell chose Avery Heller and Brody Johnson. Mrs. Cooper chose Lexus Franks and Ace Hubbard. Mrs. Casey chose Abby Jones and Will Bader. Mrs. Carr chose Jillian Munoz and Peyton Fort. Mr. Barker chose Lily Kagoy and Karsten Holly. Mr. Dickinson chose Max Roseland and Stacy Mersick. Mr. Burke chose Jonathan Humple and Kara Dunphy. Stay on your toes. November Students of the Month haven't been chosen yet. It could be you. I'm getting a breaking news report. I'm just getting word that there has been a zombie outbreak in the 7th grade hall. Beware, your teachers may have been bitten. Watch out for signs of grouchiness, sleep deprivation, and complaints of students talking too much. Not only are there brains on the menu today, but the cafeteria is serving cheeseburgers, baked beans, sliced ham, tea rolls, sweet potato crisp, grab-and-go salad, and a hoagie sandwich. Make sure to thank our lunch attendants for all their hard work. Speaking of zombie outbreaks and all things Halloween, Dream Team's Taylor Reef visited the Villisca Axe Murder House. The Villisca Axe Murder House is a small white house in Villisca, Iowa. From the outside, it looks like a simple home on a quiet street. But the inside is rich with dark history and home to a brutal crime. On June 10, 1912, 105 years ago, sometime around midnight, 8 people, 6 of them children, were found brutally murdered in their beds. Their bodies were almost unrecognizable after they had been bludgeoned to death by an axe. The victims were the whole Moore family: Josiah, Sarah, Herman, Paul, Catherine, and Boyd, ages 5 to 9, and 2 sisters who had been staying the night, Lena and Ina, ages 12 and 8. The axe was found partially covered in blood, and the curtains were drawn in all the rooms. All of the doors were locked from the inside. Bed sheets covered both the victims' bodies and the mirrors. Because the gruesome crime was committed over 100 years ago, the fingerprints and DNA tests were not possible. The Moore family and the Stillinger sisters were never brought to justice. Nobody even knows for sure how the murderer got into the house. Did he sneak in through the unlocked doors, unheard because of the loud train whistles? Or was he hiding somewhere in the house, waiting for everyone to fall asleep? The killer is long gone and dead now, buried with their secret. Now you can visit the lonesome old house in Montgomery County. You can stay the night, just like those poor Stillinger sisters. People who say that the tortured spirits still reside in the little white house. Is it true that the victims still haunt the grounds? The Villisca Axe Murder House has been investigated by many ghost hunters and paranormal investigators. The house has been dubbed the most haunted place in the U.S. People that have stayed the night have reported fog moving from room to room, just like the killer or killers had done. This happens around 2 in the morning when the trains roll by. Toys supposedly move around the house and ghostly orbs show up in pictures. They say they hear the sound of dripping blood. They felt cold spots and strange feelings and spoken with the ghosts of the children. But is this true? Are spirits real? On Saturday, the 29th, Taylor took a tour of the house. Some people do believe in ghosts and are open to the idea, but some people think it's just a whole bunch of hocus pocus. Doesn't matter which one you are. Maybe if you are open to the idea of spirits, you are more likely to hear and see paranormal things. The kitchen led to the living room. Pictures of the Moore family hung on the walls. A dusty piano was in the corner. The bedroom that the Stillinger sisters slept in was visible from the living room. Dolls sat on the small bed. Again, the mirror in the bedroom was covered with a white bedsheet. The sisters were the first ones in the house to be killed. June 9th was the last day they were seen alive. Next step, upstairs, Sarah and Josiah's room was small. An old lamp rested on the wooden table covered with a doily. It would have looked like a normal bedroom, besides the gouge marks on the ceiling, made by the upswing of an axe. The children's bedrooms was upstairs. 4 of them were murdered in that room. The warm and sunny day did not fit the dark tone outside. Now it is time to ask yourself, is this house haunted? Are the dripping sounds condensation in the attic? Old houses do creak, and before the house was open as a historical site, the homeowners never reported any strange activity in the house. Is the house haunted? This is for you to decide. In entertainment news, Dream Team's Katie Gibbons recently visited the AMC theaters to see the movie It. An 84% Rotten Tomatoes rating, a 4.5-star ranking, and domestic total of $266.3 million as of September 24th. Stephen King's 1986 novel, It, turned thriller, is one of the 2017's most grossing horror films of all time. It all started with 7 young adults who figured themselves as outcasts in a small town named Derry in Maine. When one of the young misfits' little brother goes missing along with the others, the determined preteen drags his friends into the mix. He and his 6 friends all begin looking through the sewers, finding clues as they went, hoping the clues will lead to the missing brother and the others. These clues are leading to not only the mysterious disappearance of the children, but also the terrifying demonic presence known as Pennywise the Dancing Clown. The kids must find a way to surpass Pennywise, whilst they are faced with even more challenges. With all the success following the movie, this horror film has broken several records, including beating 1973's depiction of The Exorcist. The film's broad relevancy led Warner Bros. Pictures to release the date for its Chapter 2. The second chapter should be released on September 6th of 2019. We go now to on-site reporter Gracie Hayes. Gracie, off to you.
Thanks, Coral. At Madness Haunted House, their goal is to make sure that every time you turn the corner, you are scared, and they do a very good job at that. Every time you turn the corner, you are greeted with a scary face. If you like creepy and want to be terrified, Madness is the place for you. At Madness, there are creepy monsters lurking around the corners. There will never be a dull moment with exciting characters and great special effects. The actors are truly terrifying at Madness Haunted House. It is the newest pro haunt in the Omaha metro area. Council Bluffs is the first and only pro haunt.
This is Coral the Stone Fox wishing you a happy Halloween. Stay spooky.